Good evening, everyone. You're watching the Just Keep Up podcast, where we're one step ahead. I'm Kurt Johnson. This is Pete Zindros. We're excited to be back to you guys here on this Monday. We have a great show planned for you guys tonight. We have a lot to talk about, lots to get into. Big show, guys. Our featured story tonight, we're going to be talking all about the Los Angeles Lakers trade. They made a massive move yesterday. They traded D'Angelo Russell to the Brooklyn Nets, guys. They traded him for Maxwell Lewis in 2 seconds. And the Lakers, what they got back in return was Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton. So we're going to be talking all about that trade and how we feel about that. We're also going to be talking about the Mike Brown firing. He was the head coach of the Sacramento Kings, and he was fired abruptly, bro. Like, honestly, like no fucks given, no stone unturned. They just fired him. So we're going to be talking all about that. And then for the second half of the show, we're going to talk about how the Vikings beat the Packers 27-25 and the implications of that game. And then the Bengals versus the Broncos. The Bengals beat the Broncos 30-24 in overtime, which that was a wild game. And we're going to talk about the implications of that. So it's going to be a massive show for you guys. We have a lot to talk about, lots to get into. Before we get into it, I'm going to remind you to smash the like button, help us to like and subscribe, help us to reach as many people and to impact as many people as possible. In addition to that, guys, follow us on Rumble, guys, rumble.com. Just Keep Up Podcast. Follow us there to get a push notification every time we post. With that being said, bro, do you have anything for the people before we get into it?
All I want to say is just enjoy this new style video. Just enjoy it, guys. That's all I got to say because moving forward, this is probably how we're going to do every show.
Yeah, exactly, guys. So if you guys like it, if we get pretty solid feedback, we'll stick to this full time. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We're trying to improve the podcast for you guys every time. Oh, and also, guys, follow me, guys, on YouTube at Kurt's Philosophy. If you guys are into esoteric stuff, if you guys are into improving your life, if you're into some black magic, right? I could say that on YouTube. Stuff like that, guys. Follow me on YouTube, guys, at Kurt's Philosophy, or on Rumble, guys, at Kurt's Philosophy. So, but yeah, we're gonna jump right into this thing, man. So, D'Angelo Russell is now being traded to the Brooklyn Nets, guys. So I'm gonna read you guys an article here. Let's see. It went away from me. Okay, this is from NBA.com, guys. It said Lakers trade D'Angelo Russell to Nets in exchange for Dorian Finney-Smith. LA sends Maxwell Lewis and 3 future second-round picks to Brooklyn as part of the deal for Finney-Smith and Shake Milton. Okay, so as you guys know, I mean, the Lakers were looking to shake up their roster. Hint, you get it? Shake. They've been looking to shake up their roster for a while now. They've been looking at this thing. So, and they were looking to get rid of D'Lo last year, right? Like, there's been a lot of controversy with him and his play in the playoffs, especially against the Nuggets. And they finally make this move. They finally get it done. I wish the Lakers would have gotten a big man, which I'll save my take. But what's your take on this massive shakeup?
I think the Lakers probably should have tried to get a center instead, but I'm content with this move. I'm content with it. Dorian Finney-Smith is an excellent defender. Some even argue he's a game changer defensively. He can pretty much guard any position out there. Yeah, Dorian Finney-Smith, getting him as a W. Shake Milton was more of a fill-in the trade, but he could be like a little solid backup point guard, I guess, since they don't have Russell now, Milton could kind of fill in that role. But I want to flame the Brooklyn Nets real quick. How incompetent is this organization? Dude, literally last season, before the deadline, they had better offers for just Dorian Finney-Smith alone, not even included Milton. For just Finney-Smith alone, they literally had offers like multiple first-round picks. Like, bro, there were teams offering them 2 firsts for Dorian Finney-Smith, and they rejected them. So now they decide that they should trade Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton for D'Angelo Russell, who realistically does nothing for them because he's like 28 and they're trying to rebuild. And then Maxwell Lewis, who's a G League player, and 2 second-round picks, which is also G League players. So essentially, you threw them away for absolutely nothing. So I just want to say that you guys, as an organization, are dog shit. Okay, I'll pass it to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, my take on it is I think this does make the Lakers slightly better, slightly. It still doesn't solve their main issue, though. Like, they still don't have a big man. And that's the reason why they struggle in a lot of these games, right? Like, yes, it helps to get Dorian Finney Smith. He's a great defender. He's also a 3-and-D guy, even though when I watch him, it's just kind of like he can't hit a shot. But he's supposed to be this 3-and-D guy, so I guess that's good. And Shake Milton, another guy that could shoot, right? Long arms, he could shoot, he's active, right? But this still doesn't solve the main problems for the Lakers, right? Like they still have guys that can do that. They have Max Christie, they have Cam Reddish, guys who are long, can defend, can rebound, can shoot. What they really need is a big man, bro. I mean, when Anthony Davis isn't out there, they're playing center Christian Coloco, right? And that's just not going to be enough to compete in the Western Conference with Nikola Jokic and other big men in the Western Conference. So they're going to need help. Not to mention, if they make the finals, you're going to have to play either Boston or New York, two physical teams with good centers, right? So, and you don't want Anthony Davis to continue to take this pounding night in and night out, and his backup center be Christian Coloco, right? So they still do need a big man. This still doesn't solve their main issue, but it does clean up a little bit, and I think they did get slightly better from the trade. As far as Brooklyn goes, Brooklyn's always had major issues, man. I mean, they're just poorly ran organization. They gave Kevin DeFraud everything he wanted, and then he ended up leaving. Right? They Kyrie ended up leaving. Harden ended up demanding. So it's like, bro, like they're not a respectable franchise. They're supposed to be rebuilding, but they have a bunch of veterans on their team, right? And they've been trying to get rid of, like, they got rid of Schroeder, now, but then you add D'Angelo Russell, so that negates that. It's like no one really knows what they're doing as an organization. So just dysfunctional in general, and I don't really see a way out for them. But they've always been like this. I mean, going back to the whole, you remember where they traded like a bunch of first round picks and all this stuff for like an old Kevin Garnett and an old Paul Pierce, and they thought that was going to contend in the Eastern Conference, and it's like that's not contending, bro. Like that, like an old Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett is not contending against a prime peak LeBron. But that's what they honestly thought, and it's like you thought wrong, right? So yeah, they've always been a laughable franchise, but this is just another showcasing of that. But I want to move on. I want to get into our second topic of the day, which is the firing of Mike Brown, which was very, very sudden. I'm not going to read a full article, but there's been rumors out there. I'll let Pete kind of touch on some of those rumors, but but the main consensus in the locker room is no one saw this coming, right? Like no one saw this coming. It was a blind side to everyone, and everyone loved Mike in the locker room and whatever. Now they were currently on a losing streak. I don't know if that warrants firing your head coach in the middle of the season when you're supposed to be a playoff contender. It's not like they have 4 wins all year and was performing like Philly early on. Like they were doing pretty solid. I mean, they're struggling right now, but I mean, who doesn't have downs during the course of the year, right? So this seems a bit premature. But what's your take on the Mike Brown firing?
All right. Well, first I kind of want to go over what Mike Brown did during his time with the Kings. So as we know, the Kings had like that 15, 16-year drought where they didn't even sniff a playoff appearance. With Mike Brown, they have a playoff appearance and they went to 7 games against the defending champions because back in 2022, That's when the Warriors won. The Kings made it in 2023, and they took them to 7 games. Okay, so clearly, he picked up their franchise. He revived them. Last season, they got bounced in the play-in, but you know, either way, he got them a playoff appearance and damn near another playoff appearance as well after they had this 15, 16-year drought. So clearly, he brought life to this organization. Now, why did he get fired? Nobody really knows. But from some things I'm hearing, which I can't confirm are true or not, but apparently he wanted to bring DeMar DeRozan off the bench, and that's apparently like what triggered the firing. Considering that he wanted to bring a player like him off the bench. But in all honesty, though, I mean, I didn't even like DeMar DeRozan as a pickup for them in the first place. Like, this guy's game is basically in the 1990s, bro, where it's like all he's gonna do is just drive to the basket and shoot a bunch of mid-range jumpers. I mean, he can't even shoot the three ball. He can't defend either. He's not a playmaker, and he's a guy who ultimately needs the ball in his hands in order to produce. And clearly, the way he plays doesn't produce to winning basketball. There's a reason why every team that's had this guy hasn't won anything. Look at the Raptors, for example. As soon as he left, they won a championship. Every other team he's been on, whether it was the Spurs, the Bulls, or even the Kings now, just a bunch of mediocre results is all it's led to. This is the second time DeMar DeRozan has technically gotten a Coach of the Year fired. Dwayne Casey got fired back in 2018, and now Mike Brown got fired, and I'm pretty sure he's probably the reason why this happened. So I'm gonna be real. I feel sorry for Mike Brown. He did a lot for that team. Uh, I think as an organization, the Kings are just pathetic. Mike Brown was the only reason why they had some life to begin with. Bro, they're already fucking everything up. Like, think about it. Mike Brown had him on a pretty good pace, and they go sign DeMar DeRozan, and they fired this guy. It's like this franchise never does anything right. Them and the Brooklyn Nets. Isn't it ironic that we're talking about both of them on the same day as well, bro? Isn't that ironic? But yeah, that's my take on this.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I mean, let's not forget, like, Mike Brown won Coach of the Year in 2023, right?
Yeah.
So from him to go to that to being fired because of what, like, he wanted to bring DeMar DeRozan up. I mean, the reason why you're a head coach is because you're supposed to make the tough decisions. The reason why you're a head coach is because you're supposed to do the things that no one can think of that's going to help the team win, right? If we all think we can be a head coach, right? Then what does that say about the head coach? If we can look at and be like, well, we can do that, right? Then that tells you that they're a shitty head coach. So if he was going to bring DeMar DeRozan off the bench, which most people wouldn't think about doing, I mean, it's very clear. Like, the guy had a vision of how he wanted his brand of basketball to be played. And I mean, you can't continue to keep losing and being mediocre, especially in the Western Conference. If you dig yourself a hole, it may be tough to really get out that hole. I mean, we're seeing Philly right now. They're on a crazy winning streak. Even Milwaukee's been playing well. And these guys are barely in the play-in right now, right? So it's hard to dig yourself out of that hole. And he assumed or, presumed that they were going to be in a hole, and he was trying to prevent that by making changes. Now, does that mean you fire the man? I don't think so. I think that this was very premature. I mean, I said this, I know this is a different sport, but I said it even with the Jets. It's never a good idea to fire your head coach, especially if they didn't do anything to get fired, right? What's his name? Uberflus from the Chicago Bears. He directly did something to get fired. Like, they had timeouts. He didn't call any timeouts. They lost the game. Like, those types of things can and will get you fired. Those are fireable offenses. But if a coach didn't do any like thing to get fired or a fireable offense, there is no reason to fire a head coach during the middle of the year. That's never going to be good. They've never won a championship. It's never going to happen. And so, what the Kings are showing is, again, their inability to be a serious franchise. And I mean, there's only a couple of serious franchises in all of sports. So, this is just another laughing stock, honestly. So, but yeah, guys, I want to move on. I want to go into the second half of this show, which we're right on time here. We're going to talk about the NFL guys now. So the Minnesota Vikings beat the Green Bay Packers 27-25. The implications of that game are as follows: the Packers locked up their seeding, so they are locked into that sixth seed. Okay, so with the loss, they're locked into the sixth seed. They can't go higher or lower, guys. And then as far as the implications for the one seed, the Vikings, they will play the Lions to determine who is going to be the one seed. Whoever wins that game is going to be the one. Whoever loses is going to be the 5. And Green Bay is locked into that number 6. So, but the game in general, I mean, the score says close, but watching the game, it was never really, that close. The Packers made a comeback at the end, but it just wasn't enough. But my team continues to fight, man. Where we just continue to fight. We made the postseason. We're here, and as long as we compete, I'm cool with that. But what's your take on that Vikings Packers game and the implications of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a divisional game. Those are always going to be 50-50 games, especially when both the teams are good too. I mean, the Vikings won. They have a chance to clinch the division next week against the Lions. I mean, the Lions are currently playing the 49ers. If they win that game, the division is going to come down to that specific game. Isn't it freaking crazy that both of these teams can potentially have 14 wins and one of them is going to be the number 5 seed? Like, this is the thought of that blows my freaking
Yep.
mind. Like, that division is just so horrid, man. But what I want to say for the Vikings is I personally think Sam Darnold has done enough to secure the quarterback job over JJ McCarthy. Basically, this is how I view it. The MVP candidates this season, we know it's Lamar, Allen, Burrow, Goff, and then right below them, it's the tier of guys like Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. So the fact that Sam Darnold is playing at, a Pro Bowl caliber level at least, I think that's good enough for them to secure him the job. I mean, bro, they won 14 games with him. He's playing at a Pro Bowl level. And JJ McCarthy, like, while he does have potential, he's not a generational talent. Like, I don't think you can move off of a quarterback who's playing like this unless the guy behind you is a generational talent and you're going to say undisputedly he's going to be better. Like, even if they think JJ is a little better, with everything Darnold's done with them so far, I just don't think it's worth moving off him. I think they should commit to Darnold and sell McCarthy over the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I'll comment on that a little later, but yeah, I mean, my take on the Vikings Packers is it was, like I said, the score doesn't indicate how close the game was. The Packers made a comeback at the end. They scored 15 points in the fourth quarter. So that goes to show you how lopsided the game was for the most part. Jordan Love made some mistakes. That clearly wasn't his best game. But the Packers fight as usual. They fight, they claw their way back, they try to win the game late. Fortunately, it wasn't enough. My take on the Vikings are like, wow. I mean, who would have expected this? That they could potentially be a 14-win team and resurrect Darnold's career. I mean, because that's what it was. I mean, his last stop as a Niner, he didn't get much snaps, right? So no one knew this was just an experiment. He was brought in to Minnesota to be the backup to JJ. JJ was going to start. JJ tears his Achilles, and Darnold comes right in and leads them to maybe a 14-win first seed in the NFC. I mean, that is absolutely remarkable, right? Like, Darnold is the first quarterback ever to be a 14 plus win quarterback on a team on his new team, right? So he's the only quarterback ever to do that. Not Brady, not Rodgers, not Peyton Manning, no one. Darnold, right? So that tells you that how high of a level he's playing at, right? So And then, I thought in the beginning of the year when the Vikings were 5-0, I said this is a fluke. They're gonna lose. They're not gonna hang with the best teams in the NFC. And what did they do? They hung with the best teams in the NFC. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I mean, they're right there with Philly, right? So I mean, it's pretty remarkable, honestly. What's happening with them. So but yeah, I mean, and as far as this next game goes with Detroit, I know we're gonna have our predictions on Friday, so we can give kind of like our predictions for that game. It's gonna be a wild game. But I think what it's gonna come down to is the winner is gonna be the first seed, the loser is gonna be the fifth seed, and the winner's gonna have the bye week. The winner's gonna have and I don't know what you think about this, but I honestly think it might be better for Minnesota to lose. And the reason why I say that is because Minnesota, I don't think they can afford a week off. Like there's something about it that just feels if they have the week off, I could see Darnold coming out flat. And it's just like, wow, like this team was the number one seed. Whereas the Lions, they're banged up in every way. I mean, now they had 18 players on IR at one point. Now they're down to like 10, I think, but they could use the extra rest, right? So I think the bye matters more to the Lions clearly than the Vikings, and I actually think it could end up being detrimental to the Vikings if they get the one seed. If you give Darnold the bye, you let him chill, you let him sit. You don't know. I mean, I think Sam Darnold is okay, but I don't think he's this elite quarterback that can turn it on and turn it off. I think he's hot right now. He's in a rhythm, and even if you lose the game and it's close, you kind of want to keep that rhythm going with him. But what are your thoughts on that?
Nah, I personally don't think they should lose. I think they should win. Just win, lock up the one seed, get to the divisional round, and from there, just let the results speak for themselves. I mean, at the end of the day, Darnold isn't a very experienced quarterback, generally speaking, and he's never played in a playoff game. So whether it's the first round, the second round, the results are just gonna happen the same exact way, in my opinion, regardless whether he balls out or the lack of experience loses him the game. So I think just secure the bye, get to the second round, and from there we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that they should try to lose on purpose, but what I'm saying is if they do lose, that's not the worst situation for them. I actually personally think that would be a better situation for them to keep playing while Sam Darnold is hot and while he has a feeling and a rhythm. And I think on the opposite side, it's actually better for the Lions to get rest, right? Like, I don't know why Dan Campbell's playing his guys in this game, right? That's going on right now, right? Like, there's no need to play them no matter if they win or lose, they still have to go at Vikings. And even if they win today, if they lose against the Vikings, they're the number fifth seed. If they win and then they lose, they get the number five seed. So it doesn't matter what happens this game against the 49ers. It matters about next game against the Vikings. So why are you playing your guys the entire game? I get if you want to play them a little bit and then you want to rest up for that last game. And I get it. Dan Campbell's culture is, we're going to go for it. We're not going to let up. But there is a saying where sometimes it comes down to working smarter, not harder. And right now, Dan Campbell's just kind of working harder, but he's smashing his head against the bricks. And there's only a certain amount of times you could do that before your brains are splattered all over the place. The Vikings have the Vikings had 18 players on the injured reserve list, right? So it's only how much longer can you continue to play this type of brand of football, right? Like it's only a matter of time before it kills you. So you have to be smart about it to some degree. So, and I think if they play all their guys and still lose this game, and then they go out and lose next game as well, and then the number fifth seed, think about that. You played your guys when you didn't need to. You got banged up. You played again. You lost, and now you have to play again in the wild card, right? So like that. That's like that. This is a potential season decision right here by Dan Campbell.
I mean, I'm never on the believer that you shouldn't fight for the one seed. I'm on the side where you should just get it no matter what. Let the results speak for themselves from there. Yeah, I mean, if the Lions win, they're gonna get their bye week and rest up after that. I mean, if they lose, they're gonna be the fifth seed. But I don't think that wild card game specifically is going to be the difference maker to their season, in my opinion. I think you're better off just fighting for the bye and getting that extra rest. I think that benefits them
No,
more.
no, no.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they shouldn't fight for the bye, but what I'm saying is this game against the Niners, they don't need to play because win or lose, you still have to go to Vikings and win that game. So why are you playing your players now against the 49ers when they have nothing to lose against Fred Warner or Nick Bosa in that pass rush? What's the point of playing your guys in a meaningless football game? You
Well,
still
well,
have to go
no.
to
Well, I think what they need to do is they're at 13 wins right now. I believe they have to match the Vikings win total because from there, say if they lose this game, even if they win next week, there's no guarantee they get the bye. So if they
no,
win today,
no,
and
it no, no, no. It is guaranteed they get the bye because they're in the same division. So whoever wins that game is going to win the division and get in by default get the number one seed because they won the division. So this game, if the Lions lose this game, it doesn't matter because they still have to play the Vikings in week 18 for the division. So if they lose this game, they still play for the division. If they win, they still play for the division. So it's the same thing. So this game literally means nothing.
yeah, I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is right now the Vikings are one win ahead. If the Lions tie them, right? If the Lions tie them and win that game, they instantly get it. However, if they lose today but they beat the
No,
Vikings next week, there's no
no,
guarantee.
bro. No, no, you're wrong, bro. If the Lions win this game, they don't lock up the one seed. If they win this game and then they lose to the Vikings next week, the Vikings are the one seed.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. I'm saying if the Lions win out, they instantly get it. If they lose today though and they lose next week, it's or my bad. Say they lose today, right? And they win next week. There's still no guarantee. Did they win their first game against Minnesota this year?
No, it's guaranteed, bro. Whoever wins next week is the number one seed. Whoever wins next week is the winner of the division. It's a lock. Whoever wins next week, they're in. So this game that they're playing against the Niners right now means nothing. Whoever wins next week is the number one seed, period, regardless of the outcome of this game. That's what I'm trying to say, bro. Like, it's kind of crazy that Dan Campbell's playing his guys in a meaningless game.
Hang on. Just give me 1 second, bro. Let me just check something real quick. I just gotta confirm. Hang on. All right, Lions record right now. The Lions. Let's see.
It's confirmed, bro. I'm trying to tell you, bro. Like, it's confirmed, bro.
Yeah, right now the Vikings are 14-2, the Lions are 13-2. So say if they were to rest their guys today and they lose, and then next week they go to Minnesota, unless they beat Minnesota in their first matchup, it's not guaranteed that they win it because it's gonna come down to a points default after that for amongst their series. I could hang
No, no,
on.
no. So
No, keep going. You can keep going. Hang on. I'm just checking something.
no, yeah. So no. So what it's gonna come down to, bro, is the winner of the game. You just have to win the game. Like, whoever wins that game is going to be the number one seed because of record.
Oh, okay.
Get it?
No, actually, wait. This was. Hold up. Yeah, sorry, my bad, guys. I'm just checking something just to make sure his point is valid. Hold up. Detroit.
Bro, my point is valid, bro.
Hold up. Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
edit
don't know
this
what
part
I
out
don't.
so Pete.
I, yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened in their first matchup, but unless the Lions won that, it's not guaranteed. So, yeah. That's just what I wanted to say.
bro. Bro, it's absolutely guaranteed, bro. Whoever wins next week, they're in the postseason. Whoever wins is the one seed. Whoever loses is the fifth seed, and that's pretty much it, bro. So even right here, I'll show you right here. Okay, the Lions have been perched atop of the NFC for the most of the 2024 season. The Minnesota Vikings are within striking distance. This will set up a Week 18 matchup um, to determine the winner of the NFC North and the conference number one seed. How can the Lions clinch the number one seed? They won't be able to do so, right, bro? This is a direct. So I hope you're listening. It says they won't be able to clinch the one seed no matter the outcome of the Monday Night Football game against San Francisco. No matter what, the winner of the Week 18 matchup will win the division. Therefore, they will be the number one seed in the NFC.
Okay, actually,
So,
actually,
yeah,
I just
there you
found
go
it
right there,
early.
guys. So it doesn't matter, bro.
Yeah, no, earlier in the year, no, the Lions did win the first matchup. So this game actually is irrelevant. That's just what I was trying to confirm. I was just trying to confirm if were already ahead in the season
Bro,
series or not, but they are. So you're right. This game really does not make a difference. Yeah.
bro, bro, that's what I was trying to say for 10 minutes, bro. So like Dan Campbell playing his guys does not matter, bro. Whoever wins next week wins the division, and that's it, bro. So like for Dan Campbell to play his guys, it just doesn't make sense, bro.
No, 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 no. I agree with you. That was my fault. I was just misinformed about some things. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah. Okay. But no, I agree with you in that case. I do. Okay. So, do you have anything
Yeah,
else
so
to say?
it's wild. It's wild, bro. Like, but we're gonna move on. We're gonna get into our last topic, which is Bengals and the Broncos. So the Bengals won in overtime, 30 to 24, and the implications of that game are a lot, right? So next week, if Denver wins, they're in. Period. Bengals are out, and that's it. If the Broncos win, they're in. That's it, right? If the Broncos lose, right, what they need to happen is they need the Bengals to lose and they need the Dolphins to lose, right? So if those two teams lose, they're in. How the Bengals get in is the Bengals need, obviously, they need the Broncos to lose, right? And they need Miami to lose to the Jets next week. So that's the playoff implication. And then what Miami needs to happen is obviously they need the Bengals to lose, and then they need the Broncos to lose. So, yeah, so that's how that scenario goes. So it's wild right now, but how it works right now, the simplest way: if the Broncos win, they're in. Everyone else is eliminated. So that just to put it simple, because they have the 9-7 record. So, what's your take on that specific game? It was an amazing game. Joe Burrow played good. Bo Nix had a crazy catch late in that, or a crazy throw late in that game to tie up the game to go to overtime. The kicker missed a friggin' kick for the win, right? So, what's your take on that game and the implications of it?
I mean, when people watch that game, they question whether the last catch made by T Higgins was in bounds because although he did have 2 feet in, his first foot when he had the first foot down, like they weren't sure if he had like full control of like the ball and stuff. So some people think the refs gave him the benefit of the doubt, which led to them, scoring the last touchdown to win. But regardless of whether you think it was a catch or not, the call stood. The Bengals won the game, and they have the potential to make the playoffs. Obviously, they need to win, and the Broncos need to lose. But the game itself was amazing. Joe Burrow played amazing. Bo Nix played very good as well. Bo Nix had that crazy throw on fourth down. Marvin Mims also had a crazy catch on two defenders. Like I can't even shit on their defense for that play specifically. Like they pressured Bo Nix. There were two guys on Marvin Mims that play. He just made a crazy catch. Like, bro, that play right there was kind of like Eli Manning, David Tyree esque in the Super Bowl, where it's like, yeah, the defense did everything they could, but it just wasn't enough. Like it seemed like everybody did their job on the play, but the better offense just beat them on that possession. I think that's what that possession was. But I will say this though, it took the Denver Broncos 10 years, but they finally found their franchise quarterback. Bo Nix is very good. He's balling the fuck out as a rookie. I mean, you don't see many rookie quarterbacks playing like this. He probably would be walking away with Offensive Player of the Year if he wasn't in a class with Jaden Daniels, obviously, because Jaden Daniels was playing out of his mind. But yeah, the Broncos found their guy. He's possibly going to lead them to the playoffs as a rookie. I also think Sean Payton is back. We clearly saw the issue. It was Russell Wilson, just like he's the issue now in Pittsburgh. They're not winning as many games now as they were with Justin Fields, the better quarterback. But yeah, this is just my overall take. Great game. Joe Burrow, amazing as always. Bo Nix, amazing. Franchise quarterback. Sean Payton is still him. Russell Wilson sucks.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, I mean, my take on it is yeah, it was a great game. It went down to the wire. I mean, this was a game that the Broncos needed to have. I mean, they could have locked it up the week before and they lost, right? So they're losing games now, and it's gonna come down to this last week, right? Like they gotta win. So if they lose, it makes it very hairy, right? So they've got to win. In terms of the Bengals, they don't control their own fate, unfortunately. So they have to win, and then they have to get a lot of help. Miami, they have to win, and they have to get a lot of help. So yeah, I mean, but in terms of what you said about Bo Nix being they found their guy, I don't know if they found their guy for the long term future. They definitely found their guy for the short term future, though. I don't know if he we still have to see because we don't know. But from this year, I don't know if I could say that he is a franchise culture changer, a guy that you can, pencil in and he immediately makes the team better. I think he won't mess it up, which I think is good. I mean, 25 touchdowns, 12 interceptions on the year. He's definitely not going to mess it up, right? And he's been getting better. Obviously, he hit that rookie wall in the middle, but he's been playing good the last few weeks. But I just think that I haven't seen enough to say he's the guy, but he's definitely having a really good rookie year. I think him and Caleb are like right there, and then obviously Jaden Daniels has been playing like the best, obviously. Um, but yeah, that's my take on the game and those quarterbacks. I mean, in my opinion, lastly, before we end the show here, I think that Joe Burrow should get MVP considerations if they make the postseason. I think if they make the postseason, considering the start that they had, and considering the fact that they have literally the worst defense in the National Football League, they've been doing a little better. They've been doing a little better the last couple weeks, but they're a bad defense. So right now he's 42 touchdowns, 8 picks on the year. Quarterback rating of 110. He's balling out, and there's only so much he can do. I know they're 0-7 in one score games, or now I mean they just won their first game in a one score game, but yeah, I mean, how much of that is on Joe Burrow? They're averaging 30 points in the losses. So they're averaging over 30 points in the Bengals losses. So how much of this really is on Joe Burrow? So I know at some point you have to find a way to win some of those games, but I think that he should deserve. I'm not saying he should win, but he definitely deserves some MVP votes. Maybe not first place, maybe second, third place, but he definitely deserves to be on that ballot.
Yeah. Well, about your Bo Nix take, what I just want to say is, I agree that he's not a culture changer. I mean, there's not many culture changer quarterbacks out there. Most teams have to settle for game managers, guys who won't fuck it up, slightly above average guys. I think Nix falls more in that tier rather than culture changer. But when you look at
I
the
agree.
Broncos, like last 10 years, I mean, they've sucked. No matter who the quarterback was, no matter who the coach was, they sucked. Just saw it last year. Sean Payton was there. They had Russell Wilson. They sucked. And now Bo Nix comes in and they start winning games. Now, is he some culture changer? No, he's not a culture changer. I don't think he'll ever be an elite quarterback either. He hasn't shown traits of it, but he's a good quarterback. And if you have a good quarterback, you should commit to him because the chances of you finding a culture changer are very small. Not many guys have that. So I think he is their franchise guy by these standards. And then about Joe Burrow being for MVP. Personally, I'm gonna be real. If the Bengals make the playoffs, I think Joe Burrow should win it. I know the voters aren't gonna give it to him. They're not gonna give it to a 9-win team. They're just not gonna do that. But in my personal opinion, I think the way he's been playing, he has the best numbers. Uh, the eye test even says he's been playing the best. And considering that he did enough to get the worst defense in football to the playoffs, I think that's MVP worthy. But they're not going to give it to him. They're going to give it to Lamar Allen just because of the record.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, and Saquon, if he breaks, I know he needs like 200 something yards, but if he does break it in the last game, I think he can definitely sneak in there as well. But yeah, I think it comes down to Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, and I think unfortunately, and only say unfortunately because I love Joshy, and I don't think he doesn't have an MVP, so it'd be nice for him to win one. But I think unfortunately, the year that Lamar Jackson's having is just it's just monstrous. I mean, the passing touchdowns. He is on pace to have the second greatest passer rating of all time behind Aaron Rodgers at 119. That is absolutely insane for a quarterback who supposedly can't throw, right? So he's having an historical season. It's up there with the Rodgers 45 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. It's up there with the Brady 50 touchdowns, 10 picks. It's up there, or I think it was 12 or whatever. It's up there with the Mahomes 50 touchdowns, 11. Like, it's up there, with the Peyton Manning 55 or whatever he had in 2013, right? Like, this is an historical season offensively for Lamar Jackson. The only thing that's kind of getting the voters away from it is he does have Derrick Henry, so which kind of takes some votes away from him. Whereas, like, I'm a context guy, I'm a context matters guy, and you guys know that, right? And Joshy is doing way more with less, right? He doesn't even have a number one receiver, right? His best threat is probably what, Kincaid? Like, you know what I mean? So for him to be doing this is absolutely insane. I mean, he just got Amari Cooper back. So, I mean, and he's not what he was. I mean, he's not a top 5 wide receiver. Like, he's not that anymore. So, but yeah, so that's my take on that. But I want to move on, guys. I want to end the show there. We went over a lot, guys. We went over the Mike Brown firing. We went over the Lakers trade. We went over the Vikings and the Packers, and then we went over the Bengals and and the Broncos. So, but that's it, guys. I want to end the show there. Before we do that, though, guys, again, I want to remind you to like and subscribe. Help us to impact and to reach as many people as possible. In addition to that, guys, follow us on Rumble, guys, rumble.com. Just keep up podcast there. Follow us there to get a push notification every time we post. And again, guys, follow me on YouTube and Rumble at Kurt's Philosophy if you guys are interested in esoteric things, interested in conspiracy theories, all that type of stuff. Give me a follow there. And other than that, bro, do you have anything before we end the show?
Nope, I do not.
All right, guys. Yeah. So definitely, guys, remember to like and subscribe, guys. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know what you think of the setup that we have going on here. If you guys like it, if you don't like it, let us know your overall comments, and then we'll see you guys again on Wednesday with the Casual Wednesday. All right, guys. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.